I can still hear the laughter. What began as light teasing at my best friend's birthday party quickly turned sharp, cutting, and mocking. On a whim, I had decided to dance, something I hadn't done in years. I swayed awkwardly, chuckling at myself, trying to enjoy the moment. But then Vanessa, my friend's sister-in-law, chose that exact moment to humiliate me. "You call that dancing?" she sneered, a smirk on her face as the others laughed. I've seen toddlers with better rhythm. The words hit harder than I expected. I froze mid-step, cheeks burning. Some guests laughed politely, unsure whether to join in or look away. My husband, Michael, had been standing silently beside me, his expression unreadable. For a moment, embarrassment washed over me, that familiar urge to disappear. But then I saw the shift in Michael. He didn't smile, didn't comfort me. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened, not with anger at me, but at her. After the party, Vanessa's comment replayed in my mind. I tried to shake it off, telling myself she didn't matter, that it was just a silly remark. But at home that night, the tension was undeniable. Michael barely spoke, sipping his drink slowly, lost in thought as if calculating something I couldn't see. The next day, he mentioned casually that he'd invited Vanessa and a few friends over for dinner. I hesitated, fearing another scene, but he insisted. "It'll be fine. Trust me," he said. When dinner arrived, Vanessa walked in, radiant and smug, completely unaware of the storm she'd inadvertently stirred. She greeted Michael with her too bright smile, taking her seat confidently. She sipped her wine, relaxed, expecting no consequences for her cruel joke the night before. Michael cleared his throat before sitting down. "Vanessa," he said, calm and measured, but carrying a weight that made her pause. "Yes?" she asked, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. "I was thinking," he continued, "it's always wise to be careful what we say about others, especially when we think no one's paying attention, right?" Her smile faltered. The room seemed to hold its breath. Slowly, I realized Michael wasn't letting this slide. What followed was a revelation of Vanessa's own darkest secret, something she had hidden from everyone, even her closest friends. The room was stunned, and I, for the first time, felt a curious sense of vindication, like a weight had lifted. Vanessa's confident, smug expression wavered into unease, almost fear. Michael's calm tone demanded attention, even from those who hadn't been at the party the night before. "You know," he said, leaning back slightly, "sometimes the things we hide eventually surface at the worst possible moments. Secrets rarely stay buried." Her fingers trembled as she set down her wine glass. Guests exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the rising tension. My pulse quickened, a strange mix of nervous anticipation and relief. Michael paused, letting the silence stretch. Then he leaned forward, locking eyes with Vanessa. "Remember a few years ago, at the charity event scandal, the one with the missing donations?" Vanessa's lips pressed tight. I don't know what you mean," she stammered, but her voice betrayed her. "I think everyone here deserves the truth," Michael said sharply, but without losing composure. "Especially after you mocked someone for dancing last night, when you have your own skeletons hidden behind a smile." The room went completely quiet. I could almost hear Vanessa's heartbeat. Guests shifted uncomfortably, sensing the gravity of what was coming. "Vanessa," Michael continued, "it's time everyone knows that you were responsible for the misappropriated funds at that charity event. You covered up, blamed someone else, and walked away thinking no one would ever find out." Her eyes widened. The blush of embarrassment drained into pale shock. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Silence replaced the laughter from the night before. A surge of relief and vindication washed over me. The woman who had belittled me without consequence was finally exposed, and Michael had done it with dignity. There was no malice directed at me. This was a revenge for my humiliation. It was justice for her arrogance and cruelty. Her friends gasped. Some leaning in confirmed what they'd just heard. Whispers rippled through the room. I watched Vanessa slump slightly in her chair, realizing that her mockery had consequences. For the first time, I saw her not as the untouchable woman who had humiliated me, but as someone vulnerable and exposed, stripped of her facade. The contrast between last night and now was striking. From laughter at my expense to her own secret, revealed in front of everyone. The transformation was undeniable. I, who had felt powerless, finally felt balance restored. Vanessa didn't speak again that evening. She barely touched her food, her gaze distant, as if wishing she could vanish. I sat beside Michael, my hand brushing his lightly, acknowledging his steady compose and just handling of everything. Gradually, the tension eased. Guests whispered, some exchanging raised eyebrows, processing what they'd witnessed. Michael remained calm, answering questions politely without straying from the truth. There was no gloating, only precision and integrity. For the first time that night, I could breathe. Yesterday's humiliation was gone, replaced by an unexpected sense of empowerment. Not because I was a victim, but because justice had been quietly served. More importantly, I realized I had a husband who truly had my back. Someone who acted not out of impulse, but with calculated impact. Vanessa eventually left early, claiming she needed rest, avoiding all eye contact. I didn't feel anger. There was closure in seeing her stripped of the confidence she wielded like a weapon. I knew she would recover eventually, but for now, the balance had shifted. Later, after everyone had gone, Michael and I sat in the quiet kitchen. The hum of the fridge and soft ticking of the clock filled the room. "You didn't have to do that," I said softly. "I did," he replied. "You deserve that moment." Sometimes people only understand consequences when they face them publicly. I never want to feel powerless like that again. I admitted. "You won't," he said, taking my hand. "Not as long as I'm here." The relief I felt wasn't about revenge or proving who was right. It was about seeing truth stand tall, knowing that integrity and loyalty still mattered in a world that often rewards arrogance and deceit. As we turned off the lights and headed upstairs, I realized that the party, the laughter, and embarrassment were all part of a story where humility was restored. Justice was quiet but undeniable, and I finally felt safe again in my own skin. For the first time in a long while, I smiled, not out of vindication, but because the balance of truth had been restored.